There are many laws and regulations, standards, codes of practice globally which touch on information security, information governance, cyber response. And it's quite easy to drown in the detail of those laws and requirements. So I think every business that is thinking about security needs to be practical. And that is, for example, ensuring that we know where our data is, that we don't have data that we don't need, and that we raise awareness among our staff about the importance of security. It can be quite overwhelming for organisations, even very large organisations, but also for SMEs, as to what are the laws and what do we actually have to comply with. And there are a number of shortcuts to help in terms of becoming more cyber resilient. In some cases, you will need to obtain legal advice, particularly if when you're a heavily regulated sector. But there are some common sense approaches that you can take. Make sure you practice and train your staff. Minimise the amount of data that you're collecting. If you don't need the data, don't have it. And that's easier said than done when you've been storing data potentially for many years. Think about the security of your systems. If you're a smaller organisation, does it make sense to have on-premise solutions, or is it actually more secure if you outsource to bigger vendors who have more resources to invest in cyber resilience? Of course, there is a level of complexity over and above that in terms of the law and regulation, and there's no quick way through that. But start with the bigger picture. Start with those laws that are most likely to come and bite you. There were three key things in general that I would flag to organisations to improve cyber readiness. I would say, number one, governance. If you have good board engagement, stakeholder engagement, you will have more effective cyber response. Secondly, policy. Have a policy that you've worked through with all of your internal stakeholders and your crisis team, internal and external, to make sure that it works for you. And thirdly, practice does make perfect. Cyber is unfortunately a fact of life, so this is a challenge for every organisation and needs to be practiced in the same way that every other risk is generally rehearsed and practiced to mitigate that risk.